Hi guys, welcome back to the Snowcat build. So, we've done a lot, and we know you guys have been waiting oh so patiently for updates on the Snowcat, and boy do we have a real treat for you on this episode. We have done all the things. So, let me get started with, here's the motor. If you remember, we had our shroud in place, but we knew that that wasn't going to work. I think in the last episode that we did, we were working on what we were going to do. Well, we have discovered it. We built this Chungus. This is an absolute unit, ladies and gentlemen. This, we basically custom ordered a radiator. It's a little bit thicker, a little bit nicer, fits in the thing. We put the electric fan on and the fan shroud, and then we built this new hood prop slash shroud.
Heavy duty.
Thick. And it weighs a lot.
Installed.
Just like that. Bam. We have completely solved the radiator problem. We took out a lot more of the time lapse, so let us know how you feel about that. But basically we cut this on the water jet. Made this beauty piece here to cover the front of it. Stuck with our diamond plate.
Gotta keep with the flow.
Even though we're chrome on the firewall and we're painted on this, but we'll address that later. We just really want to get this project done and out the door. As you can see, we actually moved it in front of the 7.6 shop, so we could work on it a lot easier because it was sitting all the way in the other bay. And that was just a pain in the butt to have to walk back and forth all the time. So, this right here is a derail fluid cooler that we use on most of our drift cars and race cars. We'll actually be using this. This will be a transmission cooler now. We don't really have a lot of room right here for the fans to blow out, but we figured that most of that stuff's gonna kind of pass through the side and not really be an issue anyway.
This thing works in the snow anyways, right?
Yeah, I don't think that it'll actually need the fans probably as much. We did do our tune on the ECM where both sets of fans are actually electronically controlled by the ECU. So we'll get to that in a second. But basically the thermostat that we ordered runs off of 160 degrees. So once it hits 160, the thermostat opens, and our fans, the main radiator fan will kick on when it sees 175, and the transmission cooler will turn on when it sees 200 degrees. Come see the treasures. Not that close. A little close. No, not that close. Okay. So last episode we were talking about changing the pump. We were doing all this stuff. Dude, this pump thing took almost 2 months to do the pump thing. It was the most ridiculous thing we've ever dealt with. So to give you guys a little background, I mean, you probably already know from our other episodes, we specialize in building race cars, drift cars, stuff like that. We don't know anything about hydraulic pumps and how they work. So this has been a learning experience for us. We haven't been able to call anybody out. We haven't been able, Derek's not an expert.
No, nobody knows how to work on these things.
So,
and if they do, they think we're stupid.
Yeah, they had a lot of opinions on what we were doing, and anyway, we ended up finding the guys down at Spencer Fluid here in Salt Lake City helped us out immensely. They got us pretty much figured out. This pump's about half the size, and it only uses 2 outputs. So now, as opposed to having this big crazy thing that we had before and all these things and all this garbage moving around, we welded a bung in here. We obviously need to get that tightened in there, but now our flow comes right in there. Perfect. And we've got our one line that comes out of the bottom right here. We made it a little extra long because we're not sure where we're going to route it yet, but that line runs in. So,
and that controls all the steering, right?
Yes. And it only controls the steering. That hydraulic pump only has to operate one ram in the back. So I guess we'll just give you the build breakdown on a hydraulic system. So fluid starts in this box and it flows out and goes to our pump. And our pump is obviously going to pressurize that fluid and shoot it through the bottom of the line. And then we'll go over here to the other side. So now we have this valve here. So this valve controls the flow that comes out of our pump. So i.e. it's basically like they rate it in gallons per minute. So our pump, our hydraulic ram only needs 4 gallons a minute to operate. our pump puts out a bunch of math, but our pump puts out, we decided to run it on a 1-to-1. So it puts out at idle 6 gallons per minute. So obviously we're gonna have a couple extra gallons per minute already at idle, and it'll just keep going up from there as long as the motor's revving. So we put this check valve in. Now this is your pressure line into the valve.
So that's the one that's coming from the pump, right?
Yep, comes from the pump, gets regulated, and then comes back out into our steering box, which is just a check, like another valve. So as you turn the steering wheel, it operates each one of these 4 valves, either making the pump or making the hydraulic ram suck in or push out. And then, as we've kind of showed you before, that's our hydraulic ram right there. Just one hydraulic ram, which basically makes the Snowcat, if you can see my hands, it just makes it pivot. So when the ram sucks in, it turns this way. When it pushes out, it turns that way. So, back to the hydraulic pump. We basically used the ring gear off of one of those. We milled it down. We used the old Serpentine, well, I guess it's not Serpentine, sorry. We used the old V-belt pulley off of there. And we welded the new ring to that. We put adjusters in back here on our bracket so that we could move basically move it this way or this way. As you can see, she's lined up almost perfectly now. We're running this. This is the AC accessory belt for the LS motor. So this belt right here, and we'll show you more of this later when we put the belts on, but this serpentine right here is gonna run our water pump. That's the tensioner for it. And then it runs the alternator that sits right there. So this should all be good. And we have a slot made in the back of it. It's kind of hard to see. We should have probably filmed it more, but there's basically that bolt right there is an adjuster bolt. So we can make the pump, we can pitch the pump in and out. So that is our solution to the pump problem. Okay, so moving on. Obviously, we have our exhaust manifold, which we explained in the other one. These are the CTSV exhaust manifolds. They tuck right inside the frame rails. They do a great job. So all we needed to do was take the gasket that it uses, right? It's just the insulator gasket. We took that, we scanned it into the water jet, and we cut some new exhaust flange, like I guess flanges, right?
Yeah.
Those will slide onto there.
You missed.
And then the pipe will come basically down and into the old existing pipes. We think we're gonna cut this one off about right here and build another flange, so it'll just basically click into place with 2 through bolts right there. So just imagine another one of these kind of sitting right there. And that piece will just bolt on and then bolt together right there. And so that will solve all the exhaust issues. Pretty easy. All of our lines are super cleared away. These are our heater core lines for all the climate control stuff on the inside. Obviously they're clearing pretty well. All of our hydraulic lines are tucked. This wasn't really ideal, and I did want to change a lot of this box, but just for time constraints, we really want to go drive this. So we're just using this for now, where we just basically stuck to this setup on the top. So we made this a lot simpler and a lot nicer, and then this is just kind of stuck on the top for now. Just for showsies, we got this dirty old Johnny. Alternator is going to sit like there.
Just like that.
We took this bracket. This bracket's actually a truck bracket, and it would have normally went all the way down and attached the power steering pump right here. And since we're using the hydraulic pump on the other side, we don't need a power steering pump, so we just trimmed this bracket down. Made it nice and smooth. Is either that or, I mean, what we should have probably done was just order like one of those, it's not Trick Flow. I can't remember the company that makes them, but they make like the pulley adapters and all that stuff. We probably should have used one of those, but we didn't, so sue us. The internet can tell us we're wrong. Also, if you want to come over here, I'll pop this Johnny back off. We need to do like an infomercial. And the radiator just removes like this. It makes cleaning a breeze. Okay. So, if you can zoom in here, you can check this out. So our steam port peeks right through that hole now. We used a 4-place steam port and it goes right through that bracket. So what we did was we just drilled a hole. This is your steam port right here. And so we just drilled a hole in it right there. We're gonna poke the hose through, and we bought a weldable bung that we're gonna just weld the bung in here for our steam port relief. So that'll all be hooked up. Obviously our motor mounts look great. Everything looks good. It's all bolted up, ready to rock. I mean, we're gonna just take the rest of this episode and just button her up and show you. So one of our main deals that was more difficult to figure out was the shifting. How were we gonna shift the Snowcat? So if you look in here, we used a factory cable out of like a GM van. We attached it to there. The only problem is that cable is like 10 feet long.
At least.
So it basically would have to loop all the way around the back and to the other side. And let me show you our other inherent problem. Was the shifter assembly that this had in it wasn't going to work. So basically this was the shifter assembly that was sitting in the dashboard. And you can see that it's kind of cool, whatever. But the range of motion that it had wasn't enough to go through all the gears on our transmission. So we obviously did the most hot rod trick thing you could do, and we're going to switch it to a floor shifter. Enter the GM floor mount automatic transmission shifter. Neat.
Much excited.
Super neat. So this thing is gonna have, now it's gonna have a hot rod floor shifter inside of it, which I'm pretty stoked about.
One big clicky boy.
It tells you right there.
It's actually got the right shift pattern now and all that fun stuff.
And the right length and a lot of adjustment. So as you can see,
Lots
we've
of
got
small parts.
so many brackets and hullabaloo. Lots of interesting shit in here. So that is the floor mount shifter. We'll show more, obviously some time lapse of us doing that in a second. But that should solve the floor issue, or the shifting issue, sorry. So everyone has been commenting. We've been putting out other videos. We took that little bit of a break. We're trying to do all this stuff. So basically, what's hard is we can't get the parts in a timely fashion. So since our last Snowcat video has basically just been trying to get parts. The working part of it does take a little bit of time, but not as much as like just the waiting to order parts. It's crazy. Do I look okay? Good enough?
You look fantastic.
Thanks, honey.
Yes.
Are you recording?
Yeah, we're good.
Thank God. As you can see, the earth is still perfectly centered because our broom hasn't fallen over. Duh. Oh, what's that? What's that behind the broom, you ask? Well, this is one of our projects. We do get accused a lot of our never-ending list of projects, right? So the truth is, we got to kind of work on them all. The parts are coming in, parts are going out, whatever. This is one of our other projects that we're doing. This is a LS swapped E30 BMW. We did the roll cage, we got the LS in, we got more videos coming up on that. So click the box here, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, click that box to link to those videos. You know, we're just doing the intermission so you guys can see what we've been doing. We've just been busy. This is the remnants of the 180 project. So if you want to see the remnants or why we tore this car down, click the link over there.
Yep.
It's always over here.
Yep.
Got it. Click the link here to watch the 180 ones. Keep following. Some stuff that we kind of have in the works real quick. We've got our 69 Camaro that we are finishing up a full build LS swap on that. So we don't have any videos of that one posted yet, but stay tuned. We're doing 4-link coilover conversion suspension, full LS swap and build on that one. Back here in the corner, this is a real gem. This is something that we're working with another company local to us called Plus Soap. We're doing, I know it gets kind of boring, but it is a full LS build. But this one is a 700 horsepower wide body monster, just not right now. So stay tuned for that. Outside in the boneyard, we still are working on this. We still have episodes coming of the Skyline Widebody R32. Click here.
Yep.
You can watch those ones. And then last but not least, oh yeah, look at this.
Oh, there she is.
Back from her maiden voyage. We haven't forgot about it. It's still right here. Last but not least, our G35 project, which we've done, I think, 4 episodes on that. We've got the tube front episode coming up. We've got drifting that we're going to be doing in that. And a lot of exciting stuff. So stay tuned for the rest of those. And now back to our regularly scheduled Snowcat video. Make sure I have all the parts. Okay, so it's just that easy. Drill a hole, put the little bung in there, and then let the man do his magic. And literally just like that, you did good. And there it is, the beginning of the exhaust system. Couple of 2 bungs and a bunch of 90s. Oh, hello. So we're basically going to show you how to measure our belt. So since we took the radiator off back out to go get welded at the shop, this is essentially the best way that we can decide on how to measure a belt. So if you look at the way our tensioner is, we've got a ribbed tensioner and we've got a smooth pulley here. So what we're going to do is map out how we are going to make the alternator work in the water pump. So I think the best way,
Get around the thing with the thing. Let's get around the thing to thing.
right?
Okay.
Haha. Well, the phone died right in the middle of describing how the Serpentine Belt system all works. So I think the clip cuts off somewhere where I'm like, I think this is the best way to route it. Yarda. Well, I just went ahead and did it while the phone was charging.
It's done.
It's done now.
Look at that. That's a belt. That's a belt if I've ever seen a belt.
That is gonna run. Look at that. It works. See? Look at it working. It's doing the thing that it do.
Uh-oh.
It's not a big deal though, because it's really simple. Our routing is super easy.
And we're done.
So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna draw lines on this and we're just gonna measure it on a tape measure. And that should tell us the length that we need. We also got the AC one on here, which you can look through the front now and you can see on the pump where we added an adjuster in on that bracket. There's adjusters right there. So we'll be able to basically pitch it this way or this way. Okay. So I'm just pulling this as tight as I possibly can get it. It's pretty tight on all corners. The tensioner is gonna be max tight right now, so we know that we've got a little bit of play. So I'm gonna mark this right there. That'll be end to end. And then we need our tape measure. Okay. Measurements. So we can see that we need 70.5 inches long.
And
So-
4 rib belt?
6 rib.
6 rib.
So it should be, if I remember right, which we'll go to AutoZone and check, but it should be a 6RB 705.
We're gonna hold you to that.
Let's see what happens. So that's in the middle of our adjustment. So we should just be able to take it. Looks like 41.
Looks like 41.
So this will be a 4RB 41.0. The other one's going to be a 6RB 75. So
Science.
70, well, it's 0.5. But essentially the first number denominates the number of ribs. So 4RB is 4 rib, 41 inches. The second, or the first or second, however you want to call it, the 6RB is going to be like 6 rib at 70 and a half inches. So when we go to check these belts out, we know that the tensioner at its max is going to be at a 70 and a half. So essentially we have to go smaller than that, but we can go about an inch smaller than that and still have our tensioner work. This one, our tensioner is set closer towards the far side, so we'll probably actually want to dump that down as well. So let's see if we can get it right then. And now it's time for a little stepdad compare and contrast. So this is the archaic old setup. Those are where the old transcooler used to mount to the front of it. And remember in the previous episodes I talk about this is all one unit. So the side of the radiator is actually supporting everything. It was supporting the hood, it was supporting itself, it was supporting all the transmission cooling stuff. Even to the point where it just completely has separated here. Flappy boy. Which is a failure that we kind of knew was going to happen just based off of that's the other parts of the fins. Just based off the construction that it was. Just everything is just kind of junky and dumb. And then we've kind of already shown you this. Oh, so delicious. But also now with our new mod, we got our steam port bung in there, which is beautiful. And we got everything, and it has its own hood shroud, and the radiator mounts right here to the actual hood shroud. So the radiator is no longer being the support, it's actually doing its job, which is cooling. Okay, so if you look at our super top secret formula thing here we've written down on the M3. So I think I was saying like 6 PK or something. That might have been different, but the Duralast belts.
I think you lied to the people again.
Yikes. So
Did you lie to them again?
The
Did you
fucking.
do that?
Are you done? Are you done? Are you done?
No.
Okay. Well, whenever you're done, and I can finish talking about this. So it goes inches before, and then K, and then whatever the belt is. So we decided since it was 40.5 inches, we went down. They had a 400 K4 in stock, which would be 40 even. And then we went with our 70.5 measurement, but that was at the top of the tensioner. So we went down to a 69.5. Gives us a ½ inch on the tensioner.
And that's the number, right?
Yeah, 695 K6. So we've got our 2 belts there, and they went to grab them right now. So to do the rest of the exhaust, we decided just to cut a couple more, and these will actually weld onto the pipe like here. And kind of bolt together like that with the same gasket. So we'll be using the same gasket from here to here. Our 90s are going to be super, super easy. We're just going to put them up in here, measure what it is to get the 90 to this plane, and then we'll use our second 90 to hit that one like that. So it'll be a pretty basic, trim a couple pipes type 90 situation. So, oh, also we got our O2 bungs, which I have no idea where they went.
It's on the Datsun.
Yeah. So for those, we'll just step it out a couple holes, slide those Johnnies in, and then weld them, and everything will be good. There's our fluid cooler right there. We've got our adapters right here that are going from 10 AN to 6 AN. We also have our adapters that are 6 AN that go into these holes right here. So this upper and lower, that's going to be a feed and a return for the transmission cooler, those little guys. Obviously those are like some weird GM fitting type deal. These Johnnies. So that little guy right there. Ta-da! So this will thread into the transmission, convert it to 6 AN, and that'll make our lines really easy. Look who's here. Those are our belts. Belts! We're getting so close. I'm getting so excited. This was the Speedway fuel pump kit. So this is the kit that we're going to be using to get fuel to the LS. It comes with a Corvette style return regulator. So this thing, obviously fuel comes in, excess goes out, charge comes out here. It actually, we didn't realize this, but it converted all of our fuel lines to 6 a.m. But for some reason, the pump that they send you comes with nipple fittings. So I don't know. Speedway, if you can answer that question, that'd be awesome. So we have our fuel system here and good to go. I already know that this isn't going to work, but we're going to show you what I did wrong so that you don't make the same mistakes that I made. Here's why I messed up. So here's our routing, so you can actually kind of see what we got going on. So on this particular one, I for some reason thought the tensioner was going to go this way. The tensioner actually goes this way. So I subtracted a 1/2 inch when I should have added a 1/2 inch. So if you see like how close this is, once the tensioner is all the way out, it's pretty easy to tell. Like I'm still about my lovely assistant Derek here. So he maxes the tensioner out all the way, and I'm just so close. There. I'm literally like breathing it. Like I could probably make this fit if we wanted, but we just need to, no biggie, we'll just go back and get a 1/2 inch smaller.
Bigger.
That's what I meant.
More big.
Let's see how confusing this gets. This one, if you look at this, which this happens, this isn't like uncommon, but it looks like we're about an inch, at least an inch off of this one. You can kind of see that right there. This is maxed all the way in on our adjustment, so.
We were close.
2 for 2.
We were close.
Ask if he has a 705.
Yeah, if you got the numbers, that'd be like, because we just need a certain belt size.
I think we did it this time. As you can see, based on our science, perfect science, I think we got the right ones. So, Derek, grab the Chongus remover.
Where'd it go?
Where'd you put it? I didn't touch it. So, that's going to be our hydraulic pump belt. Watch this. And we're there. That is on. And then we just pull it, and that'll tighten that.
Pry bar.
See if you can just pull it down, actually. You should just be able to, just like that. That is solid. I am very happy with that. Might need a little more.
Yeah, that's
There's plenty of adjustment though still.
That's what tools are for. Not the important one.
The real buddy. Bam.
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 Tension.
We are belted. That should all work great. This is kind of, yet again, more of the issues. I think that this will slide through our custom built hole. Right through there. It should go right up to our radiator.
Clearance.
So let me grab that radiator real quick. I'll film this part. This is the struggle of the Chongus.
It's made of iron.
Would you look at it? Okay. As you can see, we've worked into the deepest, darkest nights. We did have someone try to break into our shop. I think this was during that phase of us not putting out videos for a second. So we've installed very nice security lights, which also double as filming lights. It's like the sun, but better. So we have our belts, finally, after 17 tries, which was only 2, but it feels like a lot more. We've got our belts on there. We've got our accessory drive on there. We've got our top radiator hose. We've got our lower radiator hose. We've got our alternator. We have our steam port hooked up. We've got everything needed to just button up a little bit on the exhaust. I think we'll probably call it good for today. We're just one part short right now. As soon as we get that wiring harness, we'll be able to get our fuel pump done, wiring. We'll do our, the reason why we haven't done the exhaust is we don't know exactly where we want to put our O2 bungs until the harness shows up, but it's all there. This thing is ready to start. So we'll do, I mean, the list is so short. We've got transmission cooler lines, not a big deal, but all the, I know it's hard to see, but it's dark. All the hard stuff's done. We throw an intake tube on this, some clamps, do a fluid check, and a wiring harness if it ever shows up. We'll never know. The rest of this should go so fast, and we're so grateful for all of you being patient, watching, doing all that stuff. And yeah, I guess we'll see you next time. Okay, guys, welcome back to the Old West shop, where today we're gonna be working on. Whoa. We're trying to film an intro to the video.
It doesn't matter. It's for the Snowcat.
What? Snowcat treasures? Oh, buddy. That is gonna make some sweet music.